I can smell Donald Trump screaming blue murder and threatening lawsuits left and right. But this guy is pretty damn good, so he must have the goods on Donald Trump breaking the Cuban embargo. Great story. Let's go.
Again, this is not out yet. It's expected to run tomorrow morning. I expect that means that Newsweek will probably post this full article and the cover sometime in the overnight hours tonight. But we've got this exclusively right now, and even from just the cover there, you're getting the basic story of what this is. You're titling it The Castro Connection, and the subhead there says, How Trump's Company Violated the U.S. Embargo Against Cuba. Okay, and here's what we've got. Are you ready? This is not anywhere else. Nobody else has published this. The article that this is reportedly excerpted from is not yet anywhere, but this is what we have been able to obtain. This is the piece of it we've got. You ready? Here we go. Quote. A company controlled by Donald Trump, the Republican nominee for president, secretly conducted business in communist Cuba during Fidel Castro's presidency, despite strict American trade bans that made such undertakings illegal. That's according to interviews with former Trump executives, internal company records, and court filings. Again, this is exclusive to us right now. This is from a cover story due to be published tomorrow in Newsweek magazine. This is investigative reporter Kurt Eichenwald. He's previously reported for that magazine on Trump's foreign business ties, the problems they might pose for him as president in terms of conflicts of interest. I want to reiterate again, we have obtained this advanced excerpt tonight, and it shows that Eichenwald's next story, this cover story due to drop tomorrow on Newsweek, is allegedly that Trump had illegal business dealings in Cuba under Fidel Castro. Here's a little bit more of what we've got. Quote, documents show that the Trump company spent a minimum of $68,000 for its 1998 foray into Cuba at a time when the corporate expenditure of even a penny in Cuba was prohibited without government approval. But the company did not spend the money directly. Instead, with Donald Trump's knowledge, executives funneled the cash for the Cuba trip through an American consulting firm called 7 Arrows Investment and Development Corporation. Once the business consultants traveled to Cuba and incurred the expenses for the venture, 7 Arrows instructed senior officers in Trump's company, Trump Hotels and Casino Resorts, on how to make the venture appear legal by linking it after the fact to a charitable effort. Okay, again, this is excerpts that we've got exclusively tonight from Newsweek magazine. And this last part here that we've got, this last few sentences is all we've got from them. This is about the timing of this alleged act by Donald Trump to illegally do business in Cuba and skirt the U.S. embargo there. This last bit that we've got from them is about the timing of that effort related to one of Donald Trump's previous rounds of expressed interest in running for president. All right, this is the last bit. Quote, the payment by Trump Hotels came just before Trump launched his first bid for the White House by seeking the nomination of the Reform Party. On his first day of that campaign, he traveled to Miami, where he spoke to a group of Cuban Americans, a critical voting bloc in the swing state of Florida. Trump vowed to maintain the embargo, the Cuban embargo, and never spend his or his company's money in Cuba until Fidel Castro was removed from power. He did not disclose that 7 months earlier, Trump Hotels already had spent money sending consultants on the secret trip to conduct business in Havana. Okay, again, this is exclusive to us. We have obtained just these lead paragraphs from what is expected to be the Newsweek cover story tomorrow, Trump's Cuba-Castro connection. This explosive allegation that Donald Trump illegally skirted the U.S. embargo against doing business with Cuba, and that he lied about it at the time while he was first considering running for president in the year 2000. This reference in terms of the start of the campaign when he was considering the Reform Party's nomination for president, this would have been during Trump's political travels in the fall of 1999. And getting this excerpt tonight, we rushed to our own archives and ultimately to C-SPAN archives and found coverage from the time of how Trump was talking about Cuba at this time, at the start of his intention to get the Reform Party's nomination for president in the year 2000, how he was talking about Cuba and the importance of the embargo when he was flirting with running for president that year.
As you know, and the people in this room know better than anyone, putting money and investing money in Cuba right now doesn't go to the people of Cuba. It a bad guy in every respect. And frankly, the embargo against Cuba must stand, if for no other reason than if it does stand, he will come down.
Donald Trump speaking to a Cuban American audience in South Florida in November 1999 when he was thinking about running for president in the year 2000. Again, what investigative reporter Kurt Eichenwald is apparently reporting for Newsweek right now is that even when Donald Trump was thinking about running for president that year and was bragging to audiences that he was all in favor of the embargo, that he would never spend money in Cuba, he would never break the embargo because that would only prop up Fidel Castro, Kurt Eichenwald is apparently due to report tomorrow morning in Newsweek magazine that just a few months earlier, Trump's business with Trump's personal knowledge had spent considerable money, in fact, doing business with Cuba in a way that Newsweek says was in violation of the U.S. embargo at the time. So there's that. We have to wait until tomorrow, until the full piece comes out. We, again, have these 3 lead paragraphs. We will post these excerpts that we have got tonight online so you can see them yourself. But the full article will come out, and you will get the full context of it whenever Newsweek posts this new cover story. We expect it to be tomorrow morning, which probably means overnight tonight. Now, obviously...
All right, Marco and Ted, I wonder how strongly you're going to back Mr. Trump now. But more importantly, how do all those Cubans down in Miami feel, since this guy obviously lied to them? I wonder how strongly they want to support Mr. Trump now, because obviously, since we've just opened up relations with Cuba, his companies are going to be in there lock, stock, and barrel. Yeah, okay. I want to say something so bad, but I'm just going to let it pass. Suffice it to say that Trump's Florida support, if it's not eroding at this moment, it should be. Then again, possibly it won't.
This has resonance, not just for whether or not Donald Trump and his company broke the law in the late 90s. It has political resonance, not just for whether or not he lied to Cuban American audiences about his respect for that embargo the first time he wanted to run for president in the year 2000. It also, of course, has political resonance today. Just yesterday, Donald Trump was in Little Havana in Miami looking for Cuban American votes. Just last night in South Florida, he was bragging to a rally audience about how he will be so much tougher on Cuba than President Obama has been, how he will undo all of President Obama's efforts to open up business relations with Cuba. If this Newsweek story is borne out, if this posts tomorrow and it is what we think it is, if it is borne out that Trump and his businesses knowingly broke the embargo to do business with Fidel Castro's Cuba in the late 90s, that will have implications for the prospects of his run for the presidency this year. So, okay, that's that. That is scoop number 1.
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump is already doing business down there by using shell companies. Okay, but you guys down in that Cuban community, you guys love Donald Trump. Keep loving him.